Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Kirsty.
And this is our podcast covering the highs, lows, and realities of parenting a child with neurodiversity.
Each week we'll be sharing updates from our lives and hearing from a variety of guests about their advice and experiences.
This is Love Needs No Words. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Love Needs No Words. We are joined by Kasia, mum to Michael, who is 9, has autism and is non-verbal. Michael struggles with certain clothing, so Kasia has created a clothing brand called Blue Bee Mike to help children with disabilities like Michael who struggle with certain textures and to highlight the importance of the right clothes for kids with disabilities. Kasia, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me, ladies.
So let's start by talking about the lovely Michael and your experience as a SEN mum. Can you tell us a bit about your journey and when you first started to think Michael might have autism?
Yeah, no problem, of course. So Michael was born in 2015. He's 9.5 now, and he's our only child. I did have experience with ASD before because 2 of my cousins are on the spectrum, and I was growing up with them because we're similar age. For the first 2 years, I didn't notice anything in Michael where the signs were there because he wasn't talking, he wasn't pointing, but he was doing lots of other things, which I was concentrating on. So the first time when I started to notice, I remember this, and it's always going to be in your head. It's so funny. So after I gave birth, my GP put together a group of mums who had kids at the same time. So I met amazing group of mum. We friends till now. We WhatsApp each other. It's lovely. But so first birthday for our kids, because they were like all very near to each other, we did together. And we did the same with the second birthday. I remember being at that party with Michael, and I remember all the kids going wild together, and Michael all the time wanted to run away and hide. My husband would be saying, oh, he is introvert like me, he just doesn't like it. I was like, oh yeah, okay. He didn't have any meltdowns at that time, so there was no much, like, apart from the fact that he wasn't talking and pointing, I didn't see anything, like worrying. But then when I came back home, I remember next day, Michael brought me a book, and he looked at that book upside down, not in a way that it should be. And I remember thinking to myself, he has been doing this for the last few weeks. And I went to Google, and the first answer was ASD. So obviously I went to my husband. He was like, no, like, it's impossible. So we called our health visitor, and we thought we're going to chat to her, what she thinks, because Michael just turned 2 and everything. And I remember she came, and she actually said to us, no, I don't think he has an ASD, where there was like so many clear signs, which any professional would notice at that point. So obviously it was like a relief for us, but I did still ask her, I want a speech therapist, because he is not, like, he would say couple words like randomly, but when I was with these other kids, they were like making sentences. I was like, what's going on? I didn't even hear mama. So I remember we had a speech and language therapist like 2 months later, and she immediately said to me, yes, he's on a spectrum. It was weird at the beginning. I think I cried for 2 weeks every day, like just crying and crying and crying. I was like feeling so lost. I basically didn't want to leave the house. And yeah, and I have to say, Michael is 9.5, and I only came to terms with his diagnosis when he was around 6, 7. For years, I was doing things. I was doing therapies, different speech and language therapies, lots of different things, working with him. But I just couldn't. It was just, that was the way for me. Not many of my friends knew about Michael. I started to step back from my friends and everyone. Like, I wanted to concentrate on Michael. I would even use the word, it's horrible to say, I tried to fix him. I was pushing to try to fix him because I was so scared that what's going to happen to him if he go to the ward I was scared, not him. I was scared for him. And I remember, so I stepped away from people, and then eventually, I think he was around 5.5. I had to go for therapy because I just couldn't handle this anymore, because I wasn't talking to people. I was bottling everything up, only talking to my sister or the closest family. And it's eventually, I worked for a few months and I started to talk, and it was really good feeling. And I think the most surprising thing was that I had some assumption about people in the world, and it turned to be opposite. Like, I was worried that people will look at Michael from the point of view, he is autistic Michael. But I remember someone said to me, no, he's Michael and he has an autism. Like, for them, it was just like, everyone was just like, I'm happy you're talking about this. We thought that, but we were waiting for you to start talking, because we knew that if we push, you're gonna like maybe be angry or something. So we just all step away and we waited. So I think that was like, it's so good to have good people around you, who give you time to do this at your own on your terms.
It takes time, doesn't it? And everybody's journey is slightly different. How did that kind of turning point for you? How did that change your relationship with Michael?
I felt like, because I was concentrating on trying to help Michael, but again, I was scared, not Michael. I was scared about the world for him, how the world will take him. That because I was concentrating on this, I forgot that this is my baby, and he's a baby. He is still a baby. He's not a project, which needs to have this. I can still do that with him, but he is a child. Like, I have to stop comparing him. Oh my God, he didn't do that milestone yet. Oh my God, this. And it was just like, falling on me. And I was like more and more going into that dark hole of like being helpless. And like, but I like, I was doing what I could, but I wasn't forgetting about it. Playing with him, it's not just about seeing if he has a milestone here in that play. It's about playing. The like weight from my shoulder to actually realize that my first job is to be his mom. That's what I have to do for him, and like bring other people to help. But I need to stop being his therapist, because for a long time I thought I need to be his therapist. No, my job is his mom. Like, that's what I do. So yeah.
Your feelings are so valid though, Kasia, and thank you for sharing that, because I think so many people can relate. And I talked about in an episode, I was very much like fight or flight, and I thought, I've just got to keep fighting. And in that time, you're right, you're so focused on getting the right therapist and the right help for him that you kind of forget that he's still little, and you just have to learn to play in a different way. And it's so easy to compare them when you go to the park and they're playing with stones, but yet they don't see the swings and the slide. It's really tough. And you can hear all the other kids talking and your child isn't. It's all these things. It's like, it is grief. It's something that you have to try and cope with. And it's not easy. I'm so glad that your group of friends said to you, we were just waiting for you to be ready, because we can vouch for having, a good group of friends around you is everything.
Yeah, but I can also really empathize with you with what you were saying about having, because I'm really fortunate to have an NCT group that I joined, and we're still in contact now. It really resonated what you were saying. I found it difficult over the years, and it's a complete reflection on me. I found it hard when they're saying, oh, this period is so amazing, this is the best age, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Because it doesn't feel like that for me. This feels incredibly difficult. This feels like it's getting harder, not more enjoyable. And yet these are people who you are really relying on and have a lovely, wonderful friendship with. But equally, in the same way, it becomes harder and harder for you because your child is doing very different things.
So it was through your experience with Michael and his difficulty with certain clothing that you decided to create your own clothesline for children with additional needs. So tell us a bit about that, and has that been helpful for you and your journey as well?
Do you know what? It helped me also a lot, because in all of this, I found something which gives me a purpose as well.
100%. Yeah.
Like makes me feel like I'm doing something positive for our community, for community with kids with disabilities, not only ASD, because my brand is for all the disabilities. And it gave me that sense of purpose, and because at the moment I'm only concentrating on Blue Mic. So until last year I was working all the time, but because of Michael struggle with anxiety, so there are days when he will in the morning decide he's not going to handle the school today. I didn't want to ask my employer all the time to give me days off, or my husband. So we decided that I will at the moment leave the job, but I knew I wanted to concentrate on this. So that gave me something to do meaningful, and also, possibly source of income in the future as well, so with the Blue Bee mic, so the idea behind the name, it's have you heard about blue bees?
No, I'm interested why you called it Blue Bees. Yeah.
The blue bees are from Australia. They are very rare. These bees are unique because, not just because of their color, obviously, like nobody really knows, but also because they are very they like to live in a quiet, different environment than other bees. So for example, they like to live in a smaller group. They don't like the noises. They produce enough honey to sustain themselves, and they live in a wood rather than in a big hives. So all of these things, and their honey is much thicker. They produce less, but it's much more nutritious than normal honey. So all of this make me, and I remember I saw that somewhere online about them, and I thought like, Blue Bee Mike, and obviously Mike because of the Michael, and I thought this can represent our kids, these unique things which they need, like little blue bees, which need to survive and to thrive and to produce this honey. They need this environment, but it's so beautiful what they do, so that's how the name came up with Michael. So Michael had a few years back, he started to experience some problem with closing, and it was due to his anxiety. He will, if he will become anxious, he will strip himself. And by saying strip, he will strip himself nearly naked to his pants, like in a play park or somewhere. So, and I was like terrified. I couldn't leave the house with him, because obviously sometimes I would manage to catch him on time and sometimes pull off his trousers and take him away from this environment. But sometimes I would just like, I couldn't manage. So I remember I thought to myself, okay, he was trying, the normal onesies which you've got on front with the zip, like sort of like a pajamas onesie. I was putting them on him, but he would unzip and off. So I was doing opposite, but then it looks silly, he was like up reverse way. So I thought, okay, why don't I go get some material, go to the tailor and try to design it in a way that it will look nice, and also to make it like looking like cool. I want, like you want your kids to feel cool.
Yeah,
like, that's
exactly.
how I see it.
Yeah. You want it to look right. Yeah,
you want it like look right. So so I designed this, and Michael was wearing this onesies. We had few pairs for like 2 years non-stop, and then eventually he started to accept normal clothes again. But he may go back again to onesies because some of his behavior from the past, goes back later. So this definitely helped us a lot, enormous way. It's like, because he was happy and he had a zip in the back. So even when he was trying to remove it, I was able to get to him, and I'm like, okay, buddy, like take his attention, and then he was fine. And because they weren't close to his body, he wasn't like panicking in them, based on him. I redone them a bit so they would suit the different needs. So for example, I've got onesies which are with the snaps on the bottom for kids with physical disability, so they're which still wear nappies, so they can be easier change. The nappies can be easier change, and so that's convenient for the parents. I also, in the pocket, there is like, through the pocket there is like an entry to G-tube if the child requires access. So it's got lots of this wee things which comes in a one garment and one nice looking great quality onesie. The other important thing about this brand is that by designing the clothes, which I've got more to come in the future apart from onesie, it's not just for the child itself, it's for the family, because I was that parent if her child will strip naked in the middle of the street. And I know how stressful that. So I want, by doing this, make parents less stressed, because we've got so much stress, so much hassle with things. So if I can take a little bit of that, I would be happy, And one mom who got two of my onesies, and her son is he's got physical disabilities, and she said that onesie made such a big difference to changing him, like through the day. He is much more comfortable, and that's just warms my heart, knowing when she has to change his nappies twice an hour, and like before he would like cry when she would take trousers or something, and now it goes so smooth. And I'm thinking, like, because of my thing, I took this wee thing away, and it's like amazing. It makes
That's
me
amazing.
like, so tearful at that moment. So Blue Bees, Australian, look them up. They're so pretty.
I've never heard of a blue bee.
Yeah. They're like autistic bees.
They are. They're like neurodiverse bees.
Exactly. Yeah. Very specific. Yeah.
You're right in what you say, though. If you can help remove the anxiety for your child, that naturally helps remove the anxiety in many ways for you as well, and vice versa, because I do think they pick up on your anxieties, and I think they really feel it and they sense it. So if you're anxious about going to the park because you're concerned that your child's going to like lose all of their clothes really quickly, they're probably thinking, I'm stressed, I'm not sure why, and then the sensory sensitivity kind of comes out. Did you work with anyone else to support with the design? Obviously you had an initial idea in mind. Did you work with anyone else that had an insight into sort of sensory children?
So I spoke with some of my friends who's got kids with different disabilities, and I spoke with the school, because Michael attends special school now. He went 2 years to mainstream, but he just couldn't handle it, so we sent him to special school. So obviously I spoke with there. I also spoke because Michael has a CAMS team due to his anxiety. So I also spoke with them and their occupational therapists. So there was like few people, I would like ask about this, that, and so just like asking about the opinions, basically what would you like to see in that product? What would be useful for you? Obviously I can't really put everything, but I can do as much as I can. And I still want to, if something comes up to my mind, and I will try it, test it, and I will feel it will be worth it to add it, I will add it up, because I want to improve that, for as much as I can. But at the moment, it works this way, and it's quite useful from what I've been hearing,
Yeah, I think it's amazing what you've achieved, and I think you touched on something there where a lot of parents will just have a fear of even leaving the house. It is quite isolating anyway, this journey, especially when you're coming to terms with what's going on. Then if your child's acting a certain way in a social environment, it's just so intimidating, and you'd rather stay in than go out. So you've definitely given people and for anyone listening that have those issues, you're giving them a bit of their life back, because you go out with less anxiety and less stress. And I guess how has it impacted Michael so far? How has it helped him and you with going out and things?
He was using it for 2 years all the time, and and it was lovely, because you know what was also nice, and I'm so like proud of it, because like when I was taking him in that one onesie, which I designed it for my child with disabilities to cover his needs, I had people coming to me of the neurotypical kids and asking me, where did I get it?
Oh, that's
because
cool.
they would like it for their child who doesn't have these needs, because they said that looks so nice, cool, it's like, so it wasn't looking that obvious that Michael has an ASD. Obviously you could notice after a while, but it wasn't like something like sometimes you would see something very obvious, whereas with these onesies you didn't know that it has such a purpose there, because it looks so nice. So yeah, I even had some people asking me for adult size of them, just for them for home, because it's just so nice, to hear. But yeah, so yeah, for 2 years he was wearing it all the time, and yeah, he loved it. And the good thing was also with the onesie, because some kids struggle with the waistband on their trousers, and like some kids don't want to wear underwear, you don't need underwear under the onesie, because everything is nicely covered. So that's the other thing which you can tick off the list when you want with onesie, because it's like, especially if you get the one without the snap buttons, so everything is nicely covered, so the child can just feel like relax.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, and obviously the labels, I've got labels in pocket, so it's nowhere around the body, so you can't feel it. So that's I took all these aspects into consideration, because I like Michael is no bother about labels, but lots of kids are, lots of kids of my friends. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, you've thought of so many things, and you should actually be so proud of yourself, because you've identified something that you needed for your child, like many of us do, but you've thought, actually, you've gone one step further and thought, this isn't just something that my child struggles with, this is a struggle that loads of children have. And it's not always the easiest thing if you're trying to bring out a new product and such like. So I think you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you.
There'll be a lot of people that will be very, very grateful for what you've done.
I hope so, and I want to in the future employ teenagers or people with autism. Like I want to give them something, and even if it's not going to be like full-time job, because I wouldn't expect that, but something for them, like work placement sort of, or like if you at school go and have some, how you call that,
work
you go
experience.
work experience. I would like that, I would like for kids, teenagers or adults to have that, so to create that environment. Also, I would like to say to what you said with regards to parents, sometimes when you've got child with physical disability, and like we obviously don't think this way because our kids are active, and then they don't have physical disabilities, but when you're changing your child, to lift your child costs so much stress on your body, and doing this over and over and over. And if I can, with this onesie, make it a bit easier on that parent in that terms, like that he doesn't have to do it lifting, he can just open and get access, change the nappy or the dressing or something, put the snaps back again. Like, this is a win-win for me, like huge thing, because that's a little bit less pain for that parent. So amazing.
So where can people go and purchase this onesie? And also, how long does it take to be made if people are quite keen to get one soon?
So at the moment, I have my own website, www.bluebeemic.com.uk. I also have an Instagram and TikTok. I'm trying with reels and everything. My marketing advisor said, you have to start doing reels, Kasia. I'm like, oh my God. And so you can order them anytime, because I don't make them, like when you order, I don't make them. I've got some, because I've got a manufacturer, so they made some stock for me. And if I start to get to the point where I have to reorder, I just reorder them. So yeah.
What colours do they come in, Kasia?
So at the moment I've got like a royal blue.
Nice.
And bottle green, I would say at the moment. That's the two colors, because the onesies are unisex, which is also good, because they can, like, that means better for environment in terms of colors and everything. So yeah, so the colors which I'm going to be introducing, probably red, maybe black, and like, I'm probably going to try to avoid pink. I don't know, maybe I will get them, but then it's like, more fun colors which I know both sex can wear. Yeah. So yeah, at the moment and at the moment my sizes are from size 5 to 11 years old. But obviously I would check how tall your child is, because I had customers for the 4-year-olds, and they take the 5 to 7, and they said it's fine, it works, because my child is quite tall.
Quick question. You mentioned that Michael goes to specialist provision. At the time when you came up with this idea, when Michael was having challenges with wearing clothes, was he able to wear this to school, or did he still wear school uniform?
That was actually towards his last few months, before he changed the provision. When that started. So he was in P2 around halfway through when he started to have issues with clothing. So I remember I would drive him in a car, although it was like 7 minutes walk, I would drive him in a car in his shorts, even during the winter, t-shirt and a jumper. And the teacher would say that he would just walk around the school in his pants and a jumper. And they would obviously allow him, but then I was like, okay, I need to do something. So I did the first onesie, and that worked, So then he was wearing the onesie for like 2 years. Even in a special school at the beginning, he was still wearing the onesie.
That's great, because I can imagine it's such a barrier for some children who obviously have this sensory feeling towards the uniform. It can't be very comfortable a lot of the time. I was actually just looking at my son's school trousers earlier, thinking they do not look comfortable at all. So it must be a barrier. I'm glad that the schools that Michael was at were accommodating and prepared to flex the school uniform to allow him to be comfortable during the day.
I mean, like, they were also just like the human part. They saw me. They saw me how exhausted I was, and they knew I rely on this few hours at school, because Michael even wasn't going for 6 hours. He would go 3-4 hours. But the staff in his stream school were so lovely, and they knew. They just looked at me and they were like, it's fine, Kasia, we're taking him. So, he would have 1-to-1, and she would just take him to the sports hall, play with balls with him, because they knew that's my only way to get any rest. And if they would stop that, I don't know. I don't know what would happen.
You really needed that time.
I would be like, this is like how much of that I can handle, so they were amazing. Like a gesture like that can change so much for a parent, like huge thing.
Absolutely. And did he settle well into his new specialist provision?
No, he is good. At the beginning he was like a bit, obviously, because it's a change of environment, but the fact what they've got there, I mean, ladies, soft place, like music room. He loves music, so they have music therapy. Like, I mean, trampolines every corner, like everything. It's like I wanted to go there, because they put so much stuff, everything so well designed, and they will have swimming lessons, they would have outdoor learning. So all of these things, and the fact that from 30 kids in a class, he went to 8.
Makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Huge thing, and it's like whenever he was having enough, because sometimes they can be quite distressed because other kids behavior, but if it's too much, they would take him to other room or other kids somewhere, so it's like, because there's much more staff, they can provide that.
We always say that when they're in the right environment, they just thrive. And you for the first time, you probably got a full day to yourself.
Oh,
you're like,
God.
This is great.
And ladies, a transport. Okay.
Oh yes, you get an extra hour each.
Bring him in. I mean, like,
game changer.
Game changer. Amazing. Extra hour. Not that I don't love spending time with my son, but that's extra hour for mama.
I love that.
You can just be a better parent when you have time. Just say you've got time to breathe. It just makes you a better parent. You can put more in when they're at home, and also gives you time.
Yeah, and you need that space
to create your clothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. I always say, I'm better mom when I take care of myself.
Yeah, for sure.
We all are,
Yeah,
we all are.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can lose yourself on this journey as well, and like you say, creating this clothing brand, it's something for you. It's a different part of your brain that you're using. It's a skill that you've got, that when you're focusing so much on your children, you lose yourself and you lose ambition and everything. So I just think it's brilliant what you've done. It's so good. Kasia, have you got any advice for people at the start of their journey?
First thing, what I would definitely say to myself, it's make sure you take care of yourself, even if that means that you won't be 100% today for other member, for your child, for your husband. You need to take something from every day, if possible, to take care of yourself. Imagine you're on a plane, and when the oxygen drops, the mask comes. What they say, you put the mask on yourself, then you put on other. So that's what you always have to do. I would probably also think of that this journey is a long journey. It's not, like 5K run, it's an ultra. So you need to know how to divide the energy and rest when you can. Seriously, because I don't know if you ever experience regression with your child, but that period can last few weeks where you have to be on, and then when it finally goes back to normal, sort of, your body is like adrenaline free, and then okay, I need to rest, so try to do as much as you can of this. Ask for help, go for therapy. I mean, really, really try. And like in Edinburgh, we've got this amazing charity called Vocal, which can provide I think up to 6 months. I didn't use them, but I heard of them, up to 6 months of free of charge therapy for parent of the child with special needs, which is amazing. It's like, it's really, really worth it to do, and one of the last but not least, remember to communicate with your partner about your needs, about your dreams, which you still want to have in life. Maybe they're not going to be exactly how you imagine them, but hey, they can still be, and like you can accommodate them. Maybe you're not going to go for holidays together as a family, you imagine, but that doesn't mean that you can't go on holiday yourself to that place you wanted to go as a family. So remember about this, but communicate with your partner. Don't go too long radio silent, or because that's super important. The team, being a team on that.
I just have one final question, because you mentioned that. So are you based in Scotland? And if so, you're based in Edinburgh. So people will order online and then you'll just send them out?
Yes. Yeah. So it's a free delivery in UK, obviously. And I'm happy to send abroad, but in order to send abroad, someone has to contact me, just message me, and I will estimate the price to sending abroad.
Brilliant. Kasia, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. What you're doing is going to make a difference to so many families, and we really appreciate what you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.